to the Trinity Force Podcast. Yo, it's that Triforce cast beaming straight to your home. Grab a beer so we know Pone ain't drinking alone. Send an email, a quick tweet, just pick up the phone. Leave a message at the beep if you're a creep, watch your tone. Discuss the meta game, patch notes, whatever helps your stats most. Obi-Pone Kenobi is your last hope to snatch gold. So grab your headphones and join in the fun. We'll try enforcing some jokes and some cringeworthy puns. Yo, we can make it together, people. Trinity Force Podcast. These boys are second to none. Now that's the end of the intro. It's time we begun.
Hey guys, welcome to Trinity Force Podcast. My name is Adam Ponophobia Cogswell, and you're listening to episode number 296. This is patch 5.18 continued. I am joined by three great guys tonight: Punchinella, DeClaude, and Horse Doctor are all here.
Hey everybody.
Hey guys.
Yo, Horse. What happened to the tank top?
I decided to go with the shirt I wear when somebody in the other teams do promotions. For those of you out in podcast land, it says Dream Killer, because that is what I do.
And he's wearing that same shirt because we're talking patch notes, and these patch notes have either killed your dreams or he's going to kill your dreams by telling you why the patch notes are different than what you think they are. So that shirt serves more than one purpose. Nike, just do it.
Just kill dreams.
Yeah. If you guys are expecting our normal spiel at the beginning of the show, you have to stick around the end. We have some awesome stuff to talk about. We're going to get to our promotions at the end of the show. First, we're going to jump right into talking about the mailbag, but we're going to talk about patch 5.18 because last week you guys talked about quite a number of champions, right?
Almost done.
We got through most of them. Then we got to Tam and hit a wall.
Tam or Tom?
Tam.
Tam.
Tam Canch.
Tam Canch.
Before we talk about Tam Canch, did any of your predictions last week come true? Did anything you guys have to say? I guess the other episode, not even last week, it was just a couple days ago. Did anything you guys have to say, or was it pretty much you have played against it and you've seen how it is based on the patch?
All my experience has come over our escapades over the weekend.
Yeah.
So I've seen, we didn't see all of these champions, but we saw a few of them.
Well, what's funny is I'm still not scared of Darius, Garen, Elise. What are the other bands that I'm seeing? Fiora I'm a little scared of because people are idiots. And that's the only reason I'm a little scared of Garen or Darius. Skarner I'm scared of. I'll ban him.
So Darius and Garen are weird because it depends on if you're playing top or not. I'm not scared of Garen if I'm playing top. But if some random Joe is playing top, I don't know. I don't know if I trust that guy.
Yeah, that's
you could pick Riven. People like to pick Riven into Garen. And other bad champions into Garen.
Well, but if you're actually a decent Riven, you're gonna whip the shit out of the Garen. You know.
Yeah, but Joe's not gonna be decent.
Yeah, Joe usually isn't.
Joe, he's not decent. Joe.
Diamond 5, Plat 1, Plat 2. Joe is not really that good.
He's gonna feed that Garen.
Or you could be that Nasus that dies to the Karthus 3 times before 5. Yeah, wait, sorry, I'm sorry.
These things happen.
We played against Darius once that weekend, and I was saying the same thing before we played the game. Like, I'm not scared of Darius, leave him open, and we won. We had Soraka on the team, we just healed through everything, and it's fine, right? So we have Soraka on the team again, and Darius runs amok because the guy, again, random Joe doesn't know how to play against him. So I guess you got to throw 50-50 up there. How much do you trust your top laner? And even with the changes.
If your top laner is asking you to ban Darius, you probably should do that.
Yeah.
Do you fear Fiora?
That one I ban her because
you got to get used to what she can parry back.
If I'm playing against her and I could pick somebody like Renekton, or even probably Jax, I'd probably play into her. But at the same time, the person playing Fiora probably has more experience than I do playing that particular champion or those matchups, so they're probably going to beat me. Because I don't play
in the days of their OP right now, anybody might pick them just to pick them. If they get out of ban prison, then you might have some.
I mean, that's what I've been doing with Fiora. So if you played against me and I was that guy that just picked Fiora because he's strong, you'd probably do pretty well.
Yeah, I still hardly know what she does. I'll be honest with you guys. I see her ult come down. I'm like, what does this do? It's pretty. And then I'm dead. I'm like, what the hell?
I'm on the fence about her.
Trying to find the pun there.
I found the fun. She's fencing, but she's
I was gonna say, really, Punch? You didn't catch that?
Yeah, but they changed her name. She's no longer the grand. She's no longer fencer. She's now the grand duelist. Is that what it is? Or
She always was.
I thought she was always the grand duelist.
No, okay. Then they got rid of the grand duelist and they're making her something else.
Oh, there's a big
Touche.
hubbub that they might change that.
Yeah.
Why people care, I don't know. But they're not going to change that.
Yeah.
So the pitchforks have been put away.
Well, let's talk about Tom Kench. Then we'll move on. That's
Gosh. All right, Tom Kench.
Tom Kench, they did some smoothing out, as they call it, of some of his abilities. Tongue Lash, smooth out interaction between Tongue Lash Devour combo for normal cast. Now casting Devour at any point while the tongue is midair will allow you to eat a monster or minion from a distance instead of needing to left click Devour mid lash. So quality life change. You don't have to click on the minion as the tongue is out to be able to pick it up. Which seems like it should have worked that way previously because it's a pretty hard interaction to do, especially on some latency to be able to pick up a minion quickly. Or even decide if you're going to do it.
I mean, you got the frog tongue. Frog tongue sticky just makes sense.
Yeah, it still bothers me that he's a catfish, but has
Catfish frog.
frog tongue.
Monster. Demon.
He's a demon. Yeah, exactly.
Thick
He's a demon
skin.
fish frog.
The color of Tom Gench's gray health for himself and enemies has been changed in colorblind mode to be visible. So nothing huge changing here. No tweaks, no damage tweaks, no number tweaks. There's just these Tom Kench still.
Yeah, he's still a bottom feeder, but maybe with the smoothed out animation, you can get some grabs.
I think his win rate went up by like 0.02% or something. I was looking at there was a post on Reddit a couple days ago or today or something where they were kind of talking about the win rate changes, and people like Darius and Skarner, their win rates still went down like pretty significantly. We're talking 2 to 4%, but they're still seeing bans because how strong they are.
People are finally learning how to play Tam Kench. I'm seeing him more, and I'm seeing him have a lot more success. And it's not in the support role; it's more in the top lane. And we actually saw him mid lane over the weekend, and he did pretty well in the mid lane. Ultimately lost, but
well, he did well early into mid, and the win condition for him was mid when he became just such a giant. He came like the Garen, where he's in your team, he's doing damage, he's stunning people. You can't kill him. He has to be killed last.
Yeah.
But
very hard to kill, and he didn't need to build that much defense.
Yeah, he built Rod of Ages.
Right.
You make a good point where people are now learning how to play.
Horses over here because he's like, oh man, people are trying to troll me. Dude, this dude, he was a total troll. He actually 1v1 the Yasuo early.
Mid lane for Tom Kench, but it's something else we saw happen to moderate success.
Oh, I want to see it. Try it.
Everybody out there, his most successful role is top lane right now.
Yeah, he hits pretty hard. He's pretty decent on lane, but he's still Tom Kench with a level 6, and if you don't line that level 6 up perfectly with somebody, I think we got caught once at Dragon where he was able to perfectly pop up underneath of us with Garen. I want to say it was Garen who just started to spin the win into the team, and they pretty much aced us. But then it turns around in the mid and late game where people are actually doing damage and they are lacking in ultimate and damage, and that's where Tom Kench starts to fall apart.
I also played against him last Thursday for ranked 5, so I played against him in the top lane. And one of the things that actually helped me out a lot playing against him was having wards in the enemy jungle. Because what he would do is he would meet up with his jungler to ultimate gank somebody. Huh. So we were able to see, hey, Olaf and Tom Kench together, mid lane, watch the fuck out. And then sure enough,
what's going to happen?
As soon as he kind of peaked around the midpoint of mid lane, they teleported behind him, but he was able to get out because we had vision. So a strategy to keep in mind when you're playing against Tom Kench in the top lane. Especially
top is toxic. Like, please don't play that.
I don't think Tom Kench won a single game in the LCS, right? Because
he hasn't been played top lane.
Yeah, he was being played top lane in the LCS like the week after he was available, or the week of being available. So people were playing him in EU LCS at least.
He's been changed so much though. Like, it's the same thing as Bard. I'm not gonna rate like Bard on a release with Bard like 2 months later.
Oh no, they're different champions now. I agree. Yeah, let's talk about
I just don't think it's a fun user experience for anybody besides the person playing Tom Kench. He just like sits there, and if you like deal with him, he takes forever to deal with. And if you don't deal with him, he's really obnoxious unless you dodge all of his skill shots and like stay out of auto attack range.
Well, even being able to eat somebody at will without user interaction is really annoying. I was playing an Aram with some fans one day, and granted, I got saved a couple times by being eaten and spit back out. But there was also points where I knew I was really safe, like in the middle of whatever we were doing, and I'd still get eaten because the person thought I was gonna die, and that's annoying to be able to be being picked up when when you're
Don't expect it.
Yeah, you don't expect it, and your thoughts are, I'm going to move here, here, here to do the damage until you're picked up and spit out behind you. You're like, what the fuck just happened?
Right. Like Bard, I think Riot is dipping their toe in the waters of allowing the team to affect the mobility of teammates and allies, because it opens up trolling and stuff like that. But it also is great team play if everyone's on the same page. But, like the whole Jarvan meme, I'm helping, where he's got everybody trapped,
It's just, it's so hard to... You're enforcing your will on somebody else and another player. And even in a ranked 5 setting or a pro player setting, I mean, that's a split. That's not even that's a split second decision to grab and eat somebody at that level. You can't communicate and say, "I'm grabbing you. Don't grab me." That's too long. You have to make the decision for your teammate. So you're imparting your will on that person, and it can work out either way.
Right.
I've had issue with it when I've put it with good toms, and it comes down to like a situation where it's either like right or wrong to eat the person, and whether I think it's right or wrong is the AD carry. If there's a skill shot flying at me and the Tahm Kench eats me, it's not bad. But the Tahm Kench doesn't in a completely wrong situation, like it's always wrong. And I think when you get to a higher level of the play and the Tahm Kench knows like if X and Y happens, I need to eat. If Z happens, I don't need to eat. You really don't need that communication as long as he understands like this is when I need to do this.
Yeah, sure. If you're playing long enough, you are seeing everything.
The Tahm has to be really good though, and he can't just be good at Tahm. He just needs to have like the overall game knowledge to recognize like those situations and circumstances, and that's a lot to ask for.
Yeah, but what you're describing is those top level players, or those players that have a broader game knowledge than anybody else, and those. I mean, that's why there are top 1%, top 2% of the player base that are really good with them, because they understand the champion that much better than anybody else. So I don't expect the majority of the player base to understand that I am grabbing you because a skill shot's flying at you. If that skill shot hits you, cause and effect. So
another, I don't want to say erroneous because I feel that's kind of like too strong a word here, but another erroneous way I've seen Tahm Kench eat teammates would be when he eats the initiator to try and catch up to the enemy team, because he gets that speed boost. And in that case, most of the time your initiators have some sort of movement ability they can use to catch up, and you don't know as Tahm Kench what the cooldown on that is unless they have just used it. So if you eat them as soon as let's say they're Vi, and as soon as that Q comes off cooldown again, you're gonna make a very sad Vi. It happens a few times where they just
I know what you're talking about.
This guy needs to get closer. I'm gonna eat him to help him out.
It screws up your rhythm.
Yeah.
And learning how to properly use Devour is time consuming.
DeCloud really knows how to kill a conversation. That's the problem. Like we're having fun. We're talking.
I want to move on to Twitch.
I want to seg pretty well, and
hey, but I reinforce the points we're making.
No, DeCloud just likes to ambush the conversation to move on to where he wants to go. Yeah, Twitch ambush stealth delay while taking damage. It went from 6 seconds to 4.5 seconds. A long time ago, they changed it to make Twitch's ambush so that before he could just stealth by taking. He could take as much damage as he wanted. He would automatically stealth. And then they changed it so that every time he took damage, it added more time for him to be stealthed. And then I think that made it so it took him longer to be stealthed. I want to say there was a series of 3 different changes that came to Twitch over a couple patches that systematically killed him.
The base stats one and the passive one. Those are the 2 that really killed him. Because they reduced like early HP and AD, and they reduced early passive damage from like 2 to 1.
I remember that. They did. They half the damage. Yeah.
But to your point, there have been a lot of stealth changes throughout Twitch's lifetime. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah, they're slowly trying to revert some of the changes back so people start playing Twitch again.
Well, the last time he made a change, he was exclusively pick or ban played and
picked for a certain play style. Mm-hmm. I mean, this doesn't help his laning phase at all, but it does help that ganking, roaming ADC style.
Or escaping. I think it's up to 6 if he's getting hit, so now...
It's up to 4.5 now.
I still think if somebody's on your face, you're screwed. I mean, it doesn't take a long time to kill the ADC.
In lane phase, if you juke in and out of bushes, like you might... I noticed this a lot playing Rengar. When you play Rengar and you're taking damage, your ult takes longer to activate. And there are a lot of situations where if it was like 1 or 2 seconds less, I may not die. So like I think this helps in the lane phase. But I think after that, this isn't huge. Although
After the
it's
laning
a buff.
phase, you're not really taking damage or trying to run away from ganks all that often.
Right.
By being
I
stealth, you're
really
using
think
it
of
to
that.
initiate.
I really think of that gank incoming scenario where you know you're about to get ganked and you're trying to disengage while the enemy's keeping you there. So that's a good point to bring up.
Yeah, without.
Twitch,
Go ahead.
So Twitch will naturally, like, if he's decent, he'll start to get played more again. He doesn't do well on like assassin metas. He does really well, and there are a lot of tanks on both teams because oftentimes you get like really good spray and pray set up, and especially if you have a hard engage in your team, like Malfighter or Mumu, or he does really, really, really well with, and it does really bad against Nocturne. So if Nocturne gets played more, he'll do well as also. So it's a good meta for Twitch if he's decent. I just don't know if he's decent or not.
Yeah, but
I think it just widens his margin of error a little bit.
weren't they doing submarine comps with him as well? Though they were doing him, Shen, and Evelyn, for example, to start a team fight. I want to say OGN ran that a long time. That was probably last season or something when Evelyn was prevalent and Shen.
I remember
had
the Evelyn Shen. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot of submarine comps that people played where the difference between and you know what, Twitch does play a lot differently than other ADCs because while he has spray and pray and he gains that extra range, he's more or less in your face when it comes to killing people. He is submarining behind the lines to try to get to that at the enemies or the support or the AD carry, whatever it is, or I guess mid laner. There's 3 people he's trying to get to while the team keeps him safe.
And team fight up, like most of the time you're hitting tanks and trying to spray and pray into carries and line stuff up. Like you put out so much, like such a ridiculous amount of damage on Twitch once you have like Blade and IE or something with spray and pray. You don't need to like put yourself in a compromising situation.
Oh, by the way, it's rat-a-tat-tat. It's not spray and pray.
No, screw that.
Sure,
Yeah,
is
I think
Heart of Gold. Get at me.
I think Twitch's biggest problem is just getting to that team fight phase, and having if not a gold lead, at least going even with his teammate or his enemy in the lane. He just has such a hard time with laning phase and trading with people ever since they reduced the damage on his expunge and on his passive.
Well, he was so overpowered before. You could easily stack how many stacks of expunge? 3 stacks with a W auto attack.
Well, I mean, you can still do that.
Yeah,
It's
but
just
it,
that the
it
damage
literally
been
did double the
halved.
damage, right? Yeah. All right, let's talk about Vhagar. Q grants AP for assists. W's delay has been shortened, so Q Bayful Strike now grants AP on champion assists in addition to champion kills. Dark Matter. Front-loaded Dark Matter effects to the beginning of the cast animation instead of the end. Delaying cooldown effectively reduced by 0.25 seconds.
The Q thing's pretty big. The way to correctly play Vhagar and a lot of champions with front-loaded burst is like there are very few abilities in this game that are what I call kill steal abilities, and there are skills that the target has to be on low health to be totally effective. Like Darius and Garen kind of stick out, but a lot of Vhagar's wait until the guy's like 200 health and then he's ult to try and one-shot him, and a lot of Lee Sins do that too. And like sometimes on Vhagar you don't have time to get your whole combo off, and you just like you want to R the AP mage if they're near you and get all your burst off. And this hopefully incentivizes people who don't play Vhagar as much to front load their burst if they can do it. But like free AP is free AP, so it's a buff.
Take it.
I mean, free AP. Yeah, I mean, you're really probably only get. I mean, it's 14 AP. It's free AP. Yeah. Throughout the course of a match, even that's wishful thinking.
The W one is really big though. Like right now, I always tell people that Mercury Treads against Vhagar. Because if Vhagar hits you with stun and you have Mercury Treads, it's really hard for him to land his W. And having that 0 point, because the Mercury Treads give you like a 0.25 to 0.5 like extra seconds. But now like the way that it works, if you have 0.25 less on W, as long as you're decent and you kind of like time your W and E really close together and you don't like fat finger it, you might be able to get that off now. I mean, I'd have to try it in game. Maybe Vom knows because he's in chat.
Oh, we'll be able to get it off with a Merc Tread. But are we talking like max rank E?
Just a couple of points. I mean, I'd have to see it, but I mean, you still will build Mercury Treads, but Vhagar's issue isn't power. If you look at his kit, he's really, really strong, and he was really, really strong last year. He does a ton of damage. He scales. His lane phase is iffy, but it's not as terrible as people think if you actually trade with Q and you don't AFK farm all game. Like his issue is that they put a delay on his E. And his W had a delay before, and it still has a delay. And like the more delay they remove from any of Vhagar's like spells, the stronger he'll get.
Yeah,
Especially stun, but W too.
because the delay on that E just makes it harder for the delay on the W. I mean, you're missing 2 abilities there if you miss the first one. That's why I think they reduced the delay on W before, and I thought that was a good step in the right direction because as it was too feast or famine. Like if you hit with it, you did a ton of damage, and if you missed, all right, well then all you have left is Q. So I feel like another reduction in the delay. I still don't know if it's enough to hit without a stun. Probably not, but hey.
Well, you make them. You use it to make them make a choice. Do I last at this minion? Do I come in here and do this, or do I get hit by a W? You can zone a little area for a second, for whatever the delay time is.
I don't think it's enough to really push him one way or the other. If this anything, it's a 1% change to the positive, and that's I'm being gracious with 1%. So
I would say both of these
nice.
buffs together is 2 to 3.
yeah,
I think
2 to
the W one's
3%.
actually bigger than we think. Yeah.
That's quite a
talking win rate
percentage
here?
increase. Yes, that's a win rate.
Because I think he's all right. So I'll buffer this with. I'm pretty sure he's really low right now, and getting from 42 to 44 is not as hard as getting from 50 to 51.
No, he's not. He's not that low. There's no way. I bet he's at like 47 to 40.
I bet he's like
right
45, and he'll go to 47.
Whoa, 45.
No, I'll tell you what
Let's do
now.
it.
Hold on. Rate. What is there? There's a patch win rate, right? Am I not finding it? Hold on. We're gonna find it.
champion.
Podcast.
There's a champion.gg.
I found it. 5.1 Aftermath. The statistics of nerf and buffs. There it is. Hold on. Vigar.
by.
Pick rate. Okay. Here we go. It was a 3% increase. Win rate 48.02%. Actually 4%. 51.92%.
Called it.
Oh my goodness.
Horse Doctor 1, Ponophobia 0.
3.9% increase.
Mother of
There you
God.
go.
His pick rate also went up by 1.39%. That's after a week of the patch being out. So
Soon will be flooded with Vigars. I'm not ready.
all right, let's talk about Zyra. W rampant growth. Plants will reprioritize attack targets when their primary target is obscured by Fog of War instead of simply ceasing to fire altogether. Plants now prioritize the target has most recently attacked rather than the closest target she has attacked in the past 4 seconds. Champions recently attacked will still be prioritized over minions. So retooling of the AI a bit over plants to make her plants attack champions and continue to attack if you are abusing Fog of War. I think somebody on the subreddit put this best, that it's a nice change, but it's never been a change they've gone, oh, I really noticed this happening right now.
That might have been my mid laner.
It may have been. I changed think it
Valium?
was. Yeah.
Yeah. He likes to play
Spoiler.
Zyra in the mid lane, and he was excited to play Zyra after he saw this. But I don't think he really noticed the change. I think it might come into effect more in the bot lane, where if you've got to support Zyra and then the enemy support is bouncing in between the bushes,
Right.
then your plants will redirect their target now.
Yeah, you can control your plants a little bit better now to attack what you want them to attack rather than just attacking what's closest to them, which could be minions.
Why play Zyra and you could play Brand support?
I knew that was
though?
coming. I knew that's exactly what that smirk was going to be. I knew it.
Dude,
He had this
Brand
goddamn-
support's really good.
Wow.
He had Brad Sport
Almost
is
as
really
good as
good.
Brand top lane, right?
Or all right. Here, I'm gonna explain Brand into Garen for you. So Garen runs at you. You press E. Just run away from your creep wave. So for God knows what reason, you don't miss your Q, and then you hit Q.
And then you W on
Mother
top of him
of God.
and
Oh,
auto
you
attack
don't. You
him.
don't have to do anything else. Garen's rendered completely useless at that point.
Until he
Do it, folks.
Qs at you and lands a stun because you're terrible.
No way. He's stunned.
I'd
How can
1v1
he Q
horse,
if
but
he's stunned.
I'd 1v1 horse in this matchup, but I'm a fucking awful Garen. That was proven as of a Worlds Party last year. I think I've been banned forever for playing Garen because of that Worlds Party. So
Sounds accurate.
yeah, no, because what was it? Cheer. Oh yeah, Cheer. If Cheer was here, he'd tell you because he was playing the Blood Man, and that was literally the best Blood Man game he had ever had his entire life.
Oh.
No, that was 2 years ago. It was 2 years ago, and I was playing Garen, and we lost. Anyway.
Yeah, that was a game.
Enchantment Devour has been changed. Bonus magic damage per stack went from 1 to 0.67. Sated Devour damage on hit went from 60 to 50. So magic damage per stack has been decreased. So he's not-
Hooray! Less Devour champions. I can't wait.
All right, let me read this. I'm going to try and read it without laughing. As far as the jungle enchantment quartet is concerned, Sated settled into the top spot, which is a little off how I gamble the thing. I don't know. All right, so anybody who thinks Sated Devour is the best jungle enchant, like I'd really want them to look at like the top jungle picks right now in solo queue or competitive player, even in like plat. Like how many like Sated junglers are you guys seeing in your games?
Too many. By
When
too
it
many, I
first
mean
came
more
out, I
than
saw
one.
a bunch.
More
Like
than one.
Yi jumping around, but not.
Please
No.
no more
See
Yi
a bunch
jungle.
anymore.
I have had so much of Yi jungle.
I'm actually
Please.
seeing I'm seeing a lot of bad players playing sated champions out of the jungle. Let's put it
Yes.
that way.
Okay, how many
Yi
Sated
jungles
champions
on my
are you
team.
seeing do well?
Zero.
More often than it's one of those where if it's on my team they do poorly, if it's on the enemy team they do well. But no, I agree
don't-
with you. Sated isn't the best item to pick up right now. But people don't understand how to abuse the power spikes of Warrior.
If the Yi jungle's on the enemy team, I'm throwing a party because a free win.
Yeah, I'd really like to see if you can find like any win rate or sated like any elo where sated jungle has a high win rate. I'd like to see it because I don't even think they're like that strong in silver or gold. They might seem strong because you might like remember the really crappy games where they get out of control. But it's like Katarina. When I think she was overpowered, it's because people would have that one game where she'd go like 20-2, but you don't remember like the other 10 games where she went 6-6 and lost.
I remember all the games where I see Katarina go 6-6 and lose because I played
Oh,
with
they're
one
on
this
your
weekend because they're on my team. No, that is how Sated Devour is for me. When they are on my team, they do terribly, and when they're on the enemy team, they do awesome. That's just
I don't know why they nerfed it. I really don't. Especially after the KO nerf. It's like E and Shyvana.
I mean, it feels like last season where they had your farming jungle item. That was fun for a while, and then all right, we're done with this. Let's stop building this now.
I'm curious how much
Back
some of
to
these
tank jumpers.
changes, these item changes, are going to revolve around Kindred and how they feel that she will interact with the
That was
jungle.
one of my questions for the
Yeah,
Kindred episode this
was
Friday.
it?
You guys should listen to it. But no,
Yeah.
that was one of mine. Because I basically
Sneak
said
peek.
these balance changes don't seem reasonable. Save champions aren't played that much, and their win rate isn't really that high. Like, are these preemptive changes? Because that's the only thing that makes sense to me.
It seems really strong for them to make these changes just for a single champion. That's not even out yet, though.
Well, like
You
what
know?
we said on the podcast is they can't balance Sated Devour. And I don't think they can balance Sated Devour, so just make
Yeah,
it bad
They're,
so nobody
they're
cries.
trying. I have my doubts too, but I mean, they keep trying.
I so want to just grab all the junglers out there and just shake them and say, listen, Warrior is the better enchant. You can do more earlier with Warrior. You can win more games if you're not farming. You can win more games if you're, like just start
But if I
screaming
pick
everything you should be
Yi,
doing.
If I pick Yi and I farm the jungle, no one can stop me. I don't have a lane opponent in the jungle. I could just farm forever. I could farm for 30 minutes and have all these stacks and just win the game.
I don't like Sated Devour because it's a trap. It's
How
a
right
trap.
you are, Punch.
And that's why you can't balance it though, because you can't balance how players play. And they see this item, they have to get to the goal, and they're trying to like balance it around. If you take Dragon, you get 5 stacks. If you take the Scuttle, you get 2 stacks, etc., etc. But players don't remember this. All they see is kill minions, get stacks. Kill minions in my jungle, get stacks, and you can't balance around stupid.
I do love killing minions.
That's my end all be all up with this item is you can't balance around stupid.
I see that in so many Patreon replays. The jungler goes Sated Devour, and first off, I'll be like, all right, I don't like Sated Devour. I'll tell you why it's bad, and I tell them why I don't like it. And then they'll just take Scuttle Crab randomly. And I'll be like, Dragon's up in 3 minutes. And they're like, yeah. I'm like, you just took Scuttle Crab. And they're like, yeah. I'm like, the timer on Scuttle Crab's 1:30. And they'll be like, yeah, I watched your timers video. I'm like, why did you do that?
Because it's 2 stacks.
Because they want the extra
stacks.
stacks. 5.
God, I
See
hate
minion, gotta kill it.
You hate RPGs.
It's just money. It's money on legs.
Yeah, it's like yeah. Anyway, no, I'm not.
Everybody on legs.
Let's talk about Zeke's Harbinger. Armor 35.
Warrior.
Oh, I missed Warrior. Sorry, Warrior attack damage went to 45.
We discussed it Monday,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, we did.
I thought you listened to it and knew.
I haven't listened
gave
to it
you
yet.
credit for that.
I listened to
Yeah.
the podcast, guys.
It went up by
Zeke's
5.
Harbinger.
I'm prepared.
Armor
You mentioned it
35
because it
to
was relevant.
30. Charge duration used to be 8 seconds. It went to 5 seconds. But the AP bonus change is the same. So charge up duration is only 5 seconds. That means you only get 5 seconds to use the ability. Is that what I'm reading?
Yeah.
Or if you get instead of 8 seconds total, you get 5 seconds.
The crit AP bonus remains at 8. What's charge up?
Yeah, that's what I was trying to figure out too.
I wonder if that's the time the buff falls off while you're charging it. So if there's 5 seconds of inactivity, then you stop charging. I'm trying to find it in the description they give above, but I don't see it.
Way to go, Rito. Oh, damn it. You know what I did? I'm an idiot. I was going to search Google for Zeke's Harbinger. Yeah,
I think the item is really strong, and like you can always tell an item's out of whack when a champion's wasting stats to build it. And when I see like all-star building an item like Zeke's Harbinger, I kind of think the item's not that balanced.
I got it. It's this is how it works. All current charges are lost if you move further than 1,000 units apart, and you're only allowed to hold on to 100 charges for no longer than 5 seconds. However, the active, when it procs, lasts for 8 seconds.
Okay.
That's what that means.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, so you only have 5 seconds to use it by being close to the person. Or you only have 5 seconds to keep the 100 sacks after you get there. All right.
It narrows the margin of error.
Dead Man's Plate. Lulu's W Polymorph now causes the target to lose momentum.
Excellent.
It didn't before?
Lulu support buff. All right.
Because that's a slow. I guess that was a bug.
It does surprise me that it didn't do that before. Oh well.
I guess it didn't really count as a slow. It just turned you into another creature with its own.
At least you still had Little Lance.
So there's a change in here. It's the disappearing missile fix. And like the hide while seeking fixed, a rare interaction that would cause in-flight missiles to visually disappear while still being able to hit enemies. When are they gonna change the disappearing hook from Blitz that I am 100% out of the range of? It's not even touching my ass, but I still get pulled into it. I'm going to go pull up that goddamn replay from this weekend because I exclaimed, how the fuck did that hit me? It seriously went like this far, and I'm like, oh, way over here, and instead I'm getting pulled in. Hey, it led to a double kill, but still, how the hell did it hit me?
It was all calculated.
I think you should stop wearing baggy clothes all the time. You know, gives them something to grab.
Hey, they're fixing disappearing Italy Spears.
They said that for 3 years and 5 patches.
I know, right? I remember
then
as long as I can remember in Italy.
Then they visually updated her, and it was back.
Well, that's patch 5.18.
Yep.
There you go.
Yeah.
The world's
one.
patch.
All right. Instant feedback system. Anyone in chat want to tell me if this actually works? If this system can detect intentional feeding? Like, please. Like, I would like to know if this works or not.
I don't care. I don't care if someone gets reported for intentional feeding. I don't give a fuck about any of that. Like, I don't care,
if
about
the system
reporting.
knows.
No.
I need Daddy Rito to take care of me.
I want Daddy Rito to give me loss prevention when somebody types I'm AFK and then they don't move out of the base for 15 fucking minutes.
But here's the problem with that.
I know it's too hard to
as
tell.
As soon as your team starts losing, there's going to be pressure on one person, probably the guy who's doing the worst, to actually do that. Say, all right, say AFK, and go AFK, so we all get loss prevention.
Yeah, right.
Do it.
I know.
Do what you're reported.
I know it's too hard to tell. I know it's too hard to do, and we've talked about that previously. That's what I want, but I realize how hard it is to do, which is impossible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The dream.
Allow everyone to take control of it, like in original Dota.
Oh, right.
There
Take control of the character that walks
Yeah.
away.
Yeah, boot the player, and then the character's free for everyone to use.
The StarCraft bros. Get your APM up. Use your hotkeys. Use your F1 and spacebar. We're going for it, boys.
That's the perfect solution.
F1 and spacebar. I can tell you played a lot of StarCraft phone.
No, I meant F1 to like target. I'm thinking more of like Warcraft, where F1 targeted your champion and spacebar relocated it back to your last location.
Oh, I thought you were like talking like only having one control group and using spacebar.
No, control groups were control. Control groups are control, right? Control 1 to whatever. It's been a while.
I bound my control groups. I bound like the first couple of them to F keys and the other ones to control.
Yeah, it's been a while since I played StarCraft 2, but I remember the control groups. I'm still really bad at micromanaging, so it doesn't matter. That was I just send them in and go.
That's why you play Zerg.
When
you select everything and attack move.
That's why I 10 pull. Because I don't have to worry about doing anything.
When I play Warcraft 2, I would group a lot of units together, and then 1, 2, 3, and then I had a cat, growing up at my dad's house, and would jump on the keyboard, and it would always hit the delete key, and then all my ships would sink, with with all the troops on them. Like, well, that was fun.
That's a smart cat.
Good thing I had them selected.
Those are called death balls.
What, the cats?
You make it. Well, no, yes, but when you make a giant army of units in StarCraft 2, they call it a death ball.
I was actually I was looking through this, which I think you guys talked about Mordekaiser and the changes to Mordekaiser. Did you know his win rate dropped 3%?
You get 5 armor.
I'm not surprised.
I'm just gonna keep saying that. I'm just gonna keep saying 5 armor because everything else matters, but 5 armor is 5
Oh,
armor.
hey, by the way,
his pick rate and his ban rate.
Pick rate is 4.22%. I don't know what his ban rate is.
Less?
No, it's 0.54% less.
What's the ban rate?
I don't have the ban rate in front of me.
Because I wouldn't be surprised if the ban rate was actually the same.
What was the other one that I wanted to look at? Yeah, Garen didn't change, but he didn't really get that much.
If
changes.
anything, the Garen thing was like, it's a nerf in some functionality, and it's a buff in some functionality. Like, it's a nerf for landing phase because, like, when you come back to lane, you can't just like randomly solo kill the person. But in team fights, if like the wrong person kills you last, like if you don't get killed by the AD carry, but the AD carry gets 3 kills, now you'll actually be able to kill the AD carry. But before, if the mid killed you or something, you won't get the true damage on the right person.
Yeah, but I like that villain mechanic more for the tank, so that I can shred through the tank's damage, and because you're doing you're doing true damage to him. You're not necessarily going to make it onto the enemy ADC or mid.
I want you to close your eyes.
If you can get on the ADC, you're probably going to kill him
anyway. Oh, no, if you get on the ADC, he's dead, but you're still shredding through tanks and bruisers with all that true damage.
Yeah.
I want you to close your eyes and imagine a team fight where Garen is just hitting the other tank. And you're playing AD carry and the whole fight's
Oh, no, I don't mean it like that. I mean, there's too many scenarios where they're not 5v5 full-out team fights where Garen isn't chasing down the AD carry. I understand that.
If my Garen was killing a tank in a team fight, I'd probably tell the guy to quit playing League.
That's a good point, because if the tank does have villainy, are the players going, "Oh, I have to attack that target now"? It's like a free taunt.
Like a mouse to cheese.
Hope not.
Yeah, what was the other one I was looking at here?
Was it Gangplank you wanted to talk about? His powder keg?
Who, me? No, I don't really care.
You don't care about Gangplank?
No, Gangplank's dead to me.
Wow.
Who is this guy?
Gangplank's dead to me because they changed
Who's
him.
your boy?
Because there's no APGP?
Yeah, because APGP is dead. They GP is dead to me. No, Lulu. The win rate of Lulu is actually down 1.37% as of the last patch.
No, is this mid lane Lulu?
I don't know.
With that.
I don't know. Just her win rate is down. What do you want from me? That's all it says. I'm just reading a fucking post on Reddit, okay?
I want them to leave.
God knows that this is actually correct. God knows that the guy did his math correctly.
Our listeners don't listen to us to regurgitate Reddit, all right? Come up with your own goddamn opinions.
Just come up with your own percentage. Just make it up.
Everyone on Reddit's challenger, though.
They are. Everyone.
Yeah, it actually pisses me off that there's no ban rate there, because that would change quite a bit when Mordekaiser. There's more to it than Mordekaiser got changes. Now he has a lower win rate. Yeah, but he's probably being banned 80% of fucking games.
Right, exactly.
All right, that we are about 20 minutes out from the end of the show. I think we could probably answer a few listener questions.
Let's do it. Mailbag.
And let's jump in the mailbag. There was one I wanted to move into, which is
Punches.
It's Punch's question. It's something that I just want to quickly wrap up and not have a long conversation on because we did a whole fucking episode on it. But about 10 Panda writes in, the TLDR of it is, I'm an ADC that gets no peel. What do I do? Do I keep playing the champions? I like that, and peel for myself. Caitlyn, Tristana, whatever. The longer version of it is that he plays with friends that are a little higher than him. I assume the friends feel that they are more skilled, and they have shown they are more skilled based on their rank, and all they do is dive the backline and don't try to peel or protect him. So what does he do? I actually like Horse's answer earlier from this, and I wish Horse would just man up and say it.
Which one?
You're giving a kid the keys to the Corvette and expecting him to drive.
So
analogy time.
This is a tangent. So something I see a lot. All right. So basically, in a team fight, 5 champions have to die, or for the most part, you need to do most of 5 champions' health to win a team fight. So you can get to mid to late game. That's around 10 to 15,000 damage, and that's a lot of damage to do by yourself. And you have to be a really good player, and you really have to get all your auto attacks and play positionally well to do that. And there are a lot of AD carries I see who think it's 4 people's job to peel for them, and they're like, I hate entitled little shits. And I don't know. They consistently yell at their whole team to peel for them. And if you're not really good at AD carry and you're not getting most of your auto attacks off, and you didn't do well enough in the early game to actually have the items to like get that damage down, like your team loses damage when they peel, and you have to kill those 5 champions. So if it like you're not worth peeling, you lose the team fight for your team when you call something like that. And I'm not saying peel is bad. I think in most team fights, like usually one person should stay back and peel depending on the team fight. But you just want to maximize damage and understand that your damage output might be lower because you're not getting peel, but their rest of your team's damage output's higher because they can actually get on champions. They're not peeling like a Darius off of you. And when they peel Darius off of you, they're sacrificing a lot of damage to do that. So just like maximize whatever you can in this situation. But if you're not like doublelift or something, understand that if your team commits a lot of resources to peel for you and you can't do like enough damage, it's like giving a 5-year-old keys to a Corvette. They're just gonna crash that sucker.
Yeah, I think that's probably one of the biggest things that I've been seeing as support is that I honestly, unless my support walked out of lane with 2 or 3 with probably 2 kills, or shows that in a team like one of those mid team fight skirmishes that they can do really well and they pick up a kill or 2, I'm probably not going to stick by my ADC side like glue. I'm going to make a snap decision at that point, and that's if the Garen is chasing down my enemy AD carry, okay, that Garen is out of the fight. Now the fight is 4v4, and
support your biggest
sport like
source.
There you go. That's what I was getting to. Yeah.
I mean, if you're the AD carry and you're behind, and you're not your team's biggest damage source, then don't expect to get a lot of peel. And if your team is playing a lot of high DPS champions, then consider a more supportive marksman, like a Sivir to help your team engage, or an Ashe. Like both of those champions can initiate for your team and can provide help in other ways than just staying in the back line and auto-attacking.
In an ideal scenario, I would like to see people peel for good players. You know, if you can judge it based on how the game's going, if it's a type of AD carry who needs to sit there and auto-attack, try to peel for them if you can. But like everyone's saying here, if that's the kind of ADC who you notice is gun shy, then just initiate instead and try to get a kill as fast as possible.
The other side of the coin is like, don't go into a game and say, "Oh, Trinity Force podcast told me not to peel because this guy can't do enough damage." I mean, if you're playing a role that can peel, you have to do what Pono was talking about and actually determine if it's correct to peel or not. Because like, you can't just say this guy's bad, I'm not going to peel him. Because if you're playing solo queue, the guy's the same elo as you. So if he's bad, you're bad. But like one of the beautiful things about League is a MOBA is kind of like being a gladiator, and you really have to be a good player. You have to adapt to a lot of circumstances, and people always ask very concrete questions, want very concrete answers, and it's not that simple. Every game is so different. I can't tell you exactly what you need to do in a situation like this because, I mean, if you're a gladiator arena, you might get lions, you might get soldiers, you might get a giant one-headed ogre named Brutus. You never know what's going to come at you, and that's what a MOBA is. But to be the best gladiator you can be, sometimes you're going to get like a dagger instead of a sword. In this case, getting no peel as opposed to getting peel. But like a good gladiator is going to kill 2 tigers with the dagger, and a bad gladiator is going to sit there and cry about not getting peel.
Another great analogy.
A two brute.
Yeah, I mean, one of the reasons the role is considered so hard is because you're supposed to maximize your damage as a glass cannon. You take one wrong step and you could get blown up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You're also asking us how do you, again, I'm going to go back to this, how do you impart your will on your teammates? How do you make your teammates do it if you're playing with these guys all the time? Yeah, I mean, literally the only thing you can do is, hey, guys, can you peel for me? And those guys are probably going to be like, shut up, Silver Scrub. We're winning this game without you. I don't know. I mean, if you're playing solo queue, you have to, you can't be expecting peel. You have to get used to the fact that you're probably going to get very little peel, if any. And you have to play around it. That just comes down to playing around your cooldowns, playing around your summoner skills, summoner spells, being more
finding other ways to contribute to the team fight with your champion spells if you can't do auto attacks. I mean, you got to stay alive, but you got to do damage. You got to find some way to contribute.
Control what you can control. Like they were saying, if your team is all about initiating and jumping on their back line, and the enemy team jumps on you, you feel like you're getting picked on, bullied, make them suffer for jumping on you. Kite them around a little bit. Do as much damage as you're kiting. Try to make them waste their time while your team is jumping that back line together and you're not getting any peel. Hopefully they get some kills, and maybe you die, but you win the team fight.
My favorite suggestion of this whole thing is just play Ashe. Just at the first sign of somebody jumping, you just try to fire that arrow and hope to God it works. Or start the team fight for yourself so that no one can jump on you because everyone's going to be on the back foot. I mean, Ashe kind of does it all there, so...
I mean, picking the right defensive item is also pretty important to staying alive. I mean, if they're spending a lot of cooldowns to dive to the backline and kill you, then GA is a good option because that means all the cooldowns are down and you just pop right back up.
Dead Sash.
Zhonya's. Just Zhonya's Ashe.
not so much Zhonya's.
If this guy wants a concrete answer, though, like, I can give you a concrete answer in 1 or 2 sentences. It's not going to tell you everything. You need adaptability, but respect engage, and by respect engage, I mean respect gap closers. So if you're self-peeling, you need to pay attention. If people have used their gap closers and somebody like Amumu or Skarner has flash, you need to be timing it. Not your support's job all the time, especially if you're in silver, that guy's not timing it. Play around your summoners. If you do or don't have flash, you have to play a fight differently, and you have to play lane phase differently. So that's something you should be getting used to as well. You should be using abilities. Like, if you need to play in a safe position in a team fight and you're playing Ashe or Varus, you may like volley and auto attack once and kind of wait for stuff to break down before you start using your Q on Ashe. Or on Varus, a lot of times I'll ult and maybe get a Q and an auto attack, or start like auto attacking like tanks to get blight stacks or something really safe. But using abilities in general, and pay attention to all the stuff we talked about before, and abuse Fog of War. In lower elos, like, team fights don't get warded out. If you watch like a really competitive game, supports are warding bushes in team fights, and if you just walk in and out of bushes, you're gonna mess people up a lot more than you think of. Like, go into a game, play Fiddlesticks. If you try and ult them over a wall and they can't see you, it's very different than they can see you. Imagine you're playing Caitlyn and you're behind that Wraith wall, and they don't have vision of you, and you're auto attacking them. You're much safer than if you're just standing out in the open in mid lane. So Fog of War is a big thing I don't see a lot of people do, especially positionally in jungle fights as an AD carry.
Well, let's move on to the next question here with David. So David writes in, he says, I'm a Plat 2 Swede who's been playing League of Legends since Lulu came out and listened to you guys for almost as long. I love playing mage support such as Nami, Zyra, Brandon. I wanted your opinion on upgrading Spell Thieves into Frost Queens or just leaving it for a faster Mikhails or Leandries. Thank you for your hard work, and I'm only Plat because I upgrade my trinket, basically.
It depends on gold for item buys and need for disengage. Like, the Frost Queens is a lot better for disengage than it is for engage. And if you back for enough for the, like, 820 gold, whatever the book is called, I just call it book. If you back with enough for book, like, sometimes you'll buy book. But if you back for enough for Ruby Crystal Amplifying Tome, you might get the guys. Or if you back with 1500, you might buy guys, as opposed to if you back with 1350, you might buy the Spell Thief. So, like, a lot of it, and a lot of playing low-income roles, like, the support or jungle or top lane when you stop CSing because you're playing a tank and you're kind of letting carries farm out lanes, is being really efficient and adaptable with your item buys. But generally, like, if you're looking for disengaged, Frost Queens is pretty strong. And if you don't need to go coin that game.
Yeah, I generally speaking, playing those champions that has Frost Queens, I don't play any of those aggressive supports, but someone like Janna, for example, if I was to start on it in lane to use the extra damage, I would probably sell it later to pick up a coin because I feel that the mobility is more important for my team, or that the utility I receive out of those items is more important. But this is one of those questions, even with that said, there's no hard and fast answer. It's just playing around to parrot what Horse said, it's playing around your gold income and playing around what the needs of your team are and what your team plans to do after you buy that item. We talked about elixirs before. You need to always think ahead. If I buy Frost Queens now, that's X number of gold. When I get the next, how long is it going to take me to get another 400 gold to pick up that next item that I could have? You know what I'm saying? Like, you start doing that train of thought. Could I have spent that gold on an elixir, which would have given me more? Would given me this and that, and I could, you see how the train of thoughts that I'm kind of going here for the team fights that are come up. Like I said, a lot of times I buy elixirs instead of upgrading my items because it's going to give me more in a team fight between tenacity and whatnot.
When you back, has anyone done the math? Like 500 gold for the Frostfang upgrade from Spell Thieves. For the 500, I believe it's 500 gold cost to upgrade that.
It's booked, and it's like another 500-ish.
So when do you earn that back with the extra
All right, so this
income.
is one of the biggest traps, and I'm not trying to smite to Claude here, but supports at pretty much every support when they start playing this game, they really, really care about the GP10 efficiency of items. But what Pona's touching on, like the power spikes, like I haven't looked at the gold on my GP10 items for 2 seasons.
Yeah, I don't even notice it.
Yeah, it's bonus. You just take it, but it's not something. It's
Gravy.
why most people don't run GP10 unless you're playing like a really, really, really passive champion in lane.
Like
The
Soraka
reason
Like
people
Soraka.
get Frost Queens on Bran and Zyra as opposed to Janna, though, to touch on that, is Janna's CC is pretty reliable to a degree because she's shield. Her Q's easy-ish to line up, and she has ultimate, all things considered. The Spelthies is really strong on Bran and Zyra because their CCs can miss. And you can also use it to make sure that their CCs don't miss. If you get the slowdown, it's much easier to hit a root and something like that. And the coin item's just kind of awful on them because if you're walking really fast on them, you just get wrecked.
Yeah, you don't need that extra engage. If you're Annie, you have flash available, or you have the range through Tibbers
Yeah,
to
you
do
just
what you
don't
need to
have
do. So,
He mentions Lulu. I kind of side on the Janna style of playing that Horse is talking about, where I normally don't upgrade to Frost Fang, or sorry, Spell, whatever the last one is.
Spell Thief.
I usually
Frost
stay on
Queens.
Frost Fang for a while.
Frost Queens.
oh, yeah,
has-
Frost Queens. Boo.
Reliability,
kills.
though.
Just
She's
because-
slow and polymorph.
Right, slow and polymorph and alt as your anti-engage. I mean, she's got
Yeah,
so
you
much
should be
utility, I
getting-
just don't feel like I need it unless I'm really far ahead.
Should be getting Frozen Mallet on her as soon as
Oh, yeah,
possible.
yeah. Frozen Marlet's a big one.
Horse build,
Yeah.
right?
Garen counter.
We've seen how well horse build does, thanks to
It does really
Deep
well
Snow
against
players.
Garen.
Slowing him and kiting the entire time.
You see those games? That guy didn't even get to play.
I don't think anybody got to play. I saw one game get turned on its head because of that.
Don't ban Garen, boot Frozen Mallet.
I want to answer this final question before we move into announcements and whatnot for the end of the show, and that's because I think it's going to be answered fairly easily. Colin writes in, and he was close at the time to his silver promos. Not sure if he made it in there or not. He says he's become very comfortable with ADTF, who's Twisted Fate jungle, but
Oh
normals.
god, I play a lot of this.
But he's scared to bring it into ranked. Should he do it? And I think we all have our opinions on it. I'll go ahead and start. I'm gonna say yes and no. Primarily no, because I understand what silver is like, and unless that you have to prove it's going to be worth the team's while from the start. You have to prove to them. You don't have to say anything to them in the game, but you also automatically set the game up for failure because players' perception of how the game will play out changes when they see something outside of the meta. So you're already affecting players' behavior on your team indirectly by picking ADTF jungle because they think, oh no, this guy can't do anything, da da da. So you've set yourself up on a higher pedestal to do well in the game, and if you die or a gank fails or something, you could potentially snowball the game in such a negative manner that it might not be worth your time. Now, on that other hand, you have the ability to turn that game in your favor. Like you have the element surprise, you're really comfortable with it, et cetera, et cetera. So you can turn the game in the other favor where it works really well for you. I don't like the idea of being a lower elo player and playing something like that because of the toxicity that is involved in champion select and the volatility of player behavior.
Right, how easily they could tilt just by a pick that you make. That's what I'd be worried. And you're right to be worried about that. You could get flamed, and you could put your team on tilt before you even start, even if you're really good at that role.
See, I'm not even worried about the flaming.
I would tread carefully going into ranked.
Yeah, I'm not worried about the personal flaming. Like if I'm that person and I have that role, I'm going to do it because obviously I don't care. I'm more worried about how the players are going to react if something goes
That's what
wrong
I
in
mean.
the game.
You're getting them tilted a little bit, and now maybe they're expecting to lose going into the game instead of having a higher morale. So,
But do people tilt because something bad happens, or do they tilt because they're people that are gonna tilt and they're just looking for a reason to tilt? And they would have found a reason in that game
Both.
otherwise.
both. Well, you're right. They might have.
If a tilt falls in the woods, do you hear it?
If you're around, yes.
My personal opinion is, and I say this in lessons, and people always ask, "Oh, you helped me develop my champion pool," blah blah blah. And I ask them what's the most fun for them, and they say, "Oh, this is really fun for me, but I'm afraid I won't climb Elo or blah blah blah." One, I think pretty much anything's viable until like mid-ish diamond, and as long as it's okay, you're fine until D1. And then my other opinion is I want to help you get better at whatever's fun for you. I want you to be better at like playing the game in the way you most enjoy it. And if you're worried about the volatility of your teammates, I firmly believe that tilters are tilters, and they're just looking for a reason to tilt, so it's irrelevant that you're playing jungle TF. I might be wrong in that. They might tilt because of jungle TF in a situation they might not have tilted otherwise. But if it's fun for you, I would play it. If it's something you're playing a lot in normals, it's probably the thing you're going to play best on. And people also tilt when you play bad. So playing a champion you're not comfortable on is also like not a great solution. So
have you noticed the tilt in normals? Like, have you noticed people flaming you in normals, and is it affecting the game in normals? It doesn't sound like it. It sounds like it's working great for you. You're succeeding, and it's not much different when you jump into ranked at that.
I think people
level.
in normals, I would assume most people in normals are more open to the idea of playing with weird stuff, but I don't know. I don't.
You'd
play
be
that many
surprised.
normals.
Everyone's try hard.
One thing that I would suggest is go to your OPGG, look at your stats on the left hand side of your summoner name, because if you're anything below like 47% with Twisted Fate as a win rate, you may reconsider taking that champion into ranked, especially if you've played like 100 games.
I think I'm kind of more worried about the champion itself rather than your teammate's opinion, because if you're not worried about what your teammate's opinion is, then I wouldn't be. I mean, because Rager's gonna rage, but if you pick an off-meta champion, you're gonna be the target of that rage. Doesn't matter if you're unaffected by that rage. If it doesn't bother you, then go ahead and play TF. I mean, that's the only thing you really have to worry about is, do you play worse when people start freaking out at you? And if not, then take TF and just expect it whenever you don't have success. But the TF pick itself kind of worries me, just because it feels like a champion in a role that's easy to counter. And if I'm looking for an innovative champion in a role, I'm looking for something that's, obviously something that's harder to counter. And usually those are the meta champions, which is why I don't venture outside of the meta very much. Boring punching yellow.
Picks.
Yeah.
But TF to me, and then I'm sure Horse can comment more on this, but TF jungle to me seems like he'd be very susceptible to the same problem Jungle Yi has, which is why I hate Jungle Yi, which is invading. And he's very easy to starve out of the jungle from a heavy invade jungler.
First of all, I don't even know which one it is. It might be on YouTube, but if you really work on your jungle roots, you can deal with this to a degree. And people don't they're not warding you out. If they're not warding you out when they're counter jungling, they're guessing, and that's very easy to deal with. I don't think counter jungling in low elo is particularly imposing. But as far as Twisted Fate's concerned, how am I going to put it? You can't counter pressure. And people focus a lot on counter picking in the jungle. But if you have a good early game, it doesn't matter if you get counter picked. So if you're versed in TF and you can get a gank or two off early and transition to a good 6 gank, I mean, as long as you didn't get completely destroyed or something really bad didn't happen to you, it doesn't matter too much. But if you're not if you're farming through your early game and your roots are very predictable, I would be a little more worried. But as long as you're being a little more unpredictable with your roots, you're staying even in the XP, your early game's okay, and you kind of have a general idea of what you're warding, it should work fine. Also, TF jungle is a little bit harder to play with the leash mechanic change now too. So as long as you're not taking too much damage. When I play TF jungle, I can consistently get through my first clear with only using 1 to 0 health up pots, depending if I'm going a red side clear or not. And if you're at that point, you should do fine. If you're struggling with orb walking and you're tanking out a lot of creep damage and you're finding yourself at 1/4 health with 2 pots down, I would just get into a custom and practice. Because if you can get to that point, it's not too scary to play it.
Yeah.
But the camps reset after 5-ish times, I think. But if you get really used to orb walking and picking cards, it's not the worst.
Reduced it. You said, I don't know when this came in, but it's this probably after, it was only a few weeks ago, after that change, where the resets were reduced.
That was a while ago.
Yeah. So, I don't know how old.
Well, there's more of those coming up, the resets, too.
But the words you use, Colin, you fell in love with ADTF jungle. Great success. It sounds like you really enjoy playing TF. And like we always say, if you're having a good time playing this champion, that's what it's all about. Play the champion, you're going to succeed, you're going to have fun. If you're playing a champion just because someone says you should play it, you're probably not going to have as much fun. So
Nope, I'm having fun playing
Fall back on
Soraka.
ask
Take
yourself.
second blue and ult. Like if you're playing jungle TF, you should be taking second blue buff and using ultimate with it. If you can get that ultimate cooldown to a reasonable time with some CDR blues and the 10% from second blue buff, it'll be a lot easier to play. That's one thing I noticed, and specifically jungles with global ultimates on really long cooldowns, because they did that back in like Season 2 or early Season 3 Nocturne and TF, is most games I at least take the second blue. I usually don't take third or fourth to get that first like ult cooldown in a reasonable spot. And also try and ult as soon as you can, and this goes for Nocturne as well, as soon as you can within hitting 6, or pretty much all junglers. Because imagine as soon as you hit 6, your ult is on a cooldown, and then when you actually use it, count how many seconds between there, and to subtract that from the total cooldown of your ult. And that could be the cooldown of your ult if you got it off faster. But if you hit 6 and you farm until 7, you're essentially adding like 100 seconds into your ult cooldown for no reason. So try and line second blue up or with your 6 ultimate and try and get that off, and you'll do a lot better with TF and Nocturne.
Well, let's roll this podcast up, because we have some advertisements and stuff we need to talk about anyway, and there's some really awesome news that we really want to get these guys get you guys in there. So this week's podcast has actually been brought to you by Prolific Games. If you guys head over to bit.ly/tforce card, you guys can jump into the Kickstarter. They are starting up Cultists and Cthulhu's. Now, if you guys remember last year, there was Flapjacks and Sasquatches. This is a really fun take on that card game. Did you guys ever pick that up, or have we played it at all?
I know you picked it up.
Yeah, I did.
And I was excited to play it, but we never did.
You'll play it next week. I'm going to make you and Horse. I guess I got it here. We'll all play it. It's really cool. So Flapjacks and Sasquatches is all about rolling, and you roll to chop down your tree. And then there's cards in there that either prevent you from chopping, like the players can stop you from chopping down the trees. Players can remove some of your dice. They can add dice. You can chop down trees faster. There's all these different cards to do that. Well, Cultists and Cthulhu's, they wanted to add a new mechanic to Flapjacks Sasquatches, but they didn't want to change the game, so they just made a new game essentially. And now there's a piece in there called Sacrifices, and Sacrifices are cards that can be used to help complete your ritual by adding dice to your roll every turn or discarding to get automatic successes. So it's like this really cool feature where you can get more dice or remove dice or people and get and like summon your Cthulhu or your demon at the end of the game. So you guys, if you go to bit.ly/tforce card, you can pitch in and help them get this Kickstarter going. And it's really cheap, because for $25, you get a copy of the game. And if you remember the Prolific Games from last time, these games are a lot of fun. I mean, I talked praises about them for how many weeks after that game was that I bought that game. $15 gets you a Cthulhu coffee mug, and I linked it to these guys in chat. It's actually pretty damn cute. You get $25 gets you a copy of the game plus all stretch goals, or you can pay $25 to get some custom dice. $77 or more, you get 5 of the custom dice, the cult leaders, the mug, the game, and all the stretch goals. And they are currently at nearly $8,000 out of $15,000. It's only been up for 2 days. So the more money we throw at them, the more stretch goals that you're going to be able to get access to. And you can actually even throw more money. Let's say you do $25, but you want the mug, because $25 doesn't get you the mug. You can pay $10 to get the mug for them. So guys, go to bit.ly/tforce card. Check it out. Cultists and Cthulhu's. It's really awesome. I'm definitely picking up a copy, because you
should have it for Cincinnati.
I'm gonna bring it with me. I have it in the closet. I don't have this because this isn't obviously made yet. They're doing it. Prolific Games. The guys are awesome. They want that. They love to advertise with us. They love to do it. They had great success. We helped them push it over last time. So I want you guys to get out there. bit.ly/tforce card and push us over the edge. Speaking of Cincinnati, October 3rd, next week, October 3rd, we are going to be at the Fifth Third Arena in Cincinnati, Ohio, doing a live podcast with Horse Doctor Punchinello, myself, Chira Jaden, and that is it, doing a live podcast. Oh, no, Chris Alphanar. Chris Alphanar is going to be there, too. I'm sorry. That's who I forgot. I knew there was one more. That's why I oddly paused. We're going to be doing a lot awesome live podcast about mindset in League of Legends. It's kind of going to be this weird mix-up between one of the last podcasts we did and what are we laughing for? What did I miss?
Nothing. Chat. Continue.
Oh. Okay.
I gotta go.
Oh. Yeah, we can't say what happened in Twitch Cat. I'm sorry, but that It's explicit.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's come to All Mid, guys. AllMid.gg. You had them on last week talking about building a community. A lot of you guys wrote in and said awesome stuff, but wanted to join the community. Community's growing. We're joined. And don't forget to go check us out on Patreon because you only have a few more days getting this month. Champions Select podcast is coming out. I believe they are doing who the hell two champions did they tell me they're going to do? Olaf, and I can't remember the second champion they're doing this month, but it's still going to come out. So if you guys if you haven't gotten your Champions Select podcast for September yet, or I guess technically August. They're coming. I promise they're coming. Sometimes they're just a little late because we're having some hard times getting people, but we're going to push a bunch of them out. Patreon.com/TForce Network, $10 a month. You get access to Champions Select podcast, and you can go listen to Horse's awesome voice on the Rengar episode as well. Oh, and if you come to All Mid and you give me your email address, I will give you a Champions Select podcast for free.
Dude, the Rengar one's really good. I have some like real, I guess, classic quotable lines in that.
You're bad. You should feel bad.
If you make it to late game on Rengar, then I can't remember what I said. It wasn't nice.
But yeah, guys, that's it, guys. Please go check out Cultists and Cthulhu. We gotta let these guys go, because the LCS rundown is coming on. Yeah, I'm out of it. So yeah, that's it, guys. That's episode number 296 of the Trinity Force podcast. We will see you for 297 next Monday, which is actually an awesome episode because we're having a Riot game designer on to talk about Kindred on that episode. So
I'm really excited for that.
Right.
Me too.
Yeah, so you guys stick around for that one. Thank you guys so much for listening and sticking around with us. We will see you all next week.
Later.
All right, guys.
Have a good night.